Every month, millions of South Africans wait with uncertainty, checking their phones, queuing at pay points, asking neighbors if there's news. Is the SRD R350 going up? Has the old age pension increased? What's happening with disability grants? These aren't just headlines, they're lifelines. And behind every question lies the same deeper concern. Will this money come in time to cover food, medication, transport, and bills? For many, that R350 or R2,180 isn't just spare change, it's the difference between eating and going to bed hungry. And yet most are kept in the dark. Promises of increases, announcements buried in long speeches, dates that shift without warning, confusion about who qualifies, how to apply, and what's changing next. It feels like you're left to figure it out alone, but not anymore. In this video, we break down exactly what's happening with the SRD grant, old age pension, and disability support in South Africa right now. Without the fluff, without the politics, just the facts you need to know. You'll find out why the SRW or 350 grant is under pressure to increase to over or 500 and what's holding it back. The real updates to the old age and disability grants, including any recent adjustments made by SASSA and the Department of Social Development. How new budget decisions and economic shifts are directly affecting your monthly income, and what to expect next, was being approved, and why so many are still being declined. If you're tired of waiting, tired of wondering, and ready to finally understand what's really going on with your money, then stay with us. Because this isn't just a story about grants. It's a story about dignity, survival, and justice in today's South Africa, and you deserve to know the truth. So let's walk together from that hook. Let's dive deeper into the real unfolding story that matters most to you. We talk about pensions and grants as if they're distant, impersonal systems, but the truth is they are what keep millions of households afloat. That R350 SRD grant, that R2,180 old age pension or disability grant of similar value. These are not abstract numbers. They're the grocery money, the airtime for calls, those essential pills, the transport fare to get to medical appointments and places of worship, and even the fuel to send grandchildren to school. Behind each monthly payout, there's a struggle to maintain dignity, health, community, and the simple comfort of knowing you're taken care of. Let me speak directly. You deserve clarity and simplicity, not complicated jargon or political gamesmanship. You deserve the hard facts delivered in friendly, plain language without fluff or double talk. So, what's changing and what's not? Why is the SRD R350 grant being discussed as going higher, yet still stuck at R350? Has the old age pension gone up? And what about the disability grant? You'll hear from me here about what's actually happening and, more importantly, what's coming next. First, we start with the SRD R350 grant, the one that's talked about almost every month. News headlines often say things like government in talks to increase grant or urgent appeal for SRD to include more people. That might make you think the increase is already happening, or that's just around the corner. But the truth is that while there's a lot of talk and political argument, nothing has yet reached your pocket. It remains R350, and there's still uncertainty whether you'll get it next month. Why? Because decisions in Pretoria move slowly and budget debates take time. There are proposals to increase it to around R600, but all that talk needs formal agreement in Parliament and then must be included in the national budget. As of now, that hasn't happened. So, if you've been hoping for more money arriving this month, unfortunately, it hasn't arrived yet. But I will walk you through exactly where it's stuck in the process so you know what to watch for. Picture this. Parliament debates. Finance committees, Treasury must weigh the costs. SASSA needs to prepare systems, and then the president must sign off. That's thousands of pages of spreadsheets and months of back and forth. Meanwhile, you're trying to make R350 last a month, and that's just no good. You should not be left in limbo. But understanding where the delay happens gives you power. You're not just waiting for some unknown to happen. It's about knowing at least where we are in the journey and being ready to act if anything changes. Because when a public hearing is scheduled, that's your moment. Make a call to your local MP, your councillor, or your local SASSA office and ask them directly what's in the pipeline for the SRD grant. How long before the budget gets finalized? When budget preparation starts again in September, that's a signal it might be on the agenda. Nothing for sure, but worth keeping an eye on. Now let's shift to the old age pension. Currently about R2,180 per month for South Africans aged 60 and above who meet income requirements. This one's less dramatic in media headlines, but it's incredibly important. The most recent increase came in April last year when the Department of Social Development adjusted the grants in line with inflation, roughly a 3% to 4% increase that left the pension at R2,180. It might sound muddy with all those decimals, but in real terms it means just a little more airtime, a slightly brighter grocery cart, maybe a few extra cents for electricity or transport. If inflation is still creeping upward, the next increase is due around April this year. So far, there's no clear sign from National Treasury that it has happened. That means, at least for now, it remains at R2,180. The question is, will they increase it again when inflation numbers come back? Most likely yes, but we still need formal confirmation, which is usually announced in February or March and implemented in April. That means sometime between now and April, you can expect something, but it might also be a smaller increase. With South African inflation hovering around 6%, which is high. The pension ought to go up more than it did last year. The good news? Social workers and NGOs are already lobbying strongly to force a bigger adjustment. Some are calling for as high as an extra R260 per month. That would bring it closer to R2,440, but again, it depends on Treasury's final budget allocations. And the bad news? If Treasury decides inflation is creeping down, they might decide a smaller increase is enough. That's why staying informed is critical. Your job is simple. When national budget is released, clarify whether there's an increase to pension grants, when it will be implemented, and if it's increased enough to meaningfully ease your monthly burden. If not, it's your right to push for more through petitions, your local MP, or organizations like Black Sash and the Social Justice Coalition. They can amplify your voice. Now, what about the disability grant? This too is about R2,100, but there are special hurdles. First, approval can take longer with assessments and paperwork. Secondly, people often don't fully understand that many conditions change year to year, and SASSA must reassess eligibility to ensure funds go to those who still need them. This reassessment period can cause delays or even temporary stops in payments, often with little to no warning. In the one moment you have funds, the next you get a letter asking for updated documentation, and if you've moved house or your contact details changed, you may not even receive the letter. So a crucial step for anyone with a disability grant is regular follow-up. Check the status on the SASSA website, make sure SASSA has your latest contact info, and if called for reassessment, attend promptly. And while there wasn't a direct increase in April like there was with the old age pension, if Treasury announces a general grant increase, that increase should also apply to disability grants because law treats them the same in terms of annual adjustments. In fact, history shows that pensions and disability grants always move together, so you can expect, hopefully, the same uplift if they go ahead. Let's also talk about eligibility issues. Even if grant levels increase, that doesn't help if some older adults are being declined because of poor communication or misunderstanding about income/assets thresholds. I'm often asked why people are suddenly rejected when nothing else has changed. It's usually one of two things. First, asset thresholds. Over the years, the law has included limits not just on income, but on savings and property value. SASSA does review these. Even if your pension remains, your eligibility must remain within set limits. That's why it's wise to keep records of any small savings, shares, or secondary properties and declare them accurately. The second reason, SASSA's data may be outdated. Maybe you moved or got a new bank account, but SASSA still has all details. That alone can lead to rejections. So the secret is staying on top of SASSA's system, logging into the My SASSA portal monthly if possible, confirming contact and banking information is up to date, and if you're visiting a local office, asking them to update your records every few months just to be safe. All this is data heavy, but it's about real lives. Imagine a granny who saved a little in her account during lockdown. She didn't know that money counted toward asset tests, so suddenly she crosses the limit and loses her pension, while others with the same savings kept it because their records were off. It's unfair, and you deserve transparency. You deserve to know that saving a small amount today could lead to losing the entire pension tomorrow. That's why in this video, I'll tell you exactly what those asset thresholds are, including recent changes in the upper bounds. That means you'll know if it's still worth putting aside small amounts, or if you do better spending it right away to avoid complications. Now let me share something about budget timing and what it means for you. The National Treasury drafts the budget in September to November, finalizes it in February, and implements it in April of the next year. That window, April to March, is the spending year. So right now it's June, mid-year. If SASSA doesn't announce an increase by September or October, chances are it has been baked into the 2025/26 budget or forgotten in November and December. lobby groups and MPs start pushing hard for increases, and the Public Works Committee invites submissions. If you miss that window, you miss your chance to influence the increase for the coming year. So from now, mid-year until November, you should be tuned in, watch SAPC News, read the budget speech in early February, and listen closely when Parliament debates it. That's when your voice matters. You might think, is it really worth all that effort? The answer is always yes, because that R260 extra in pension money means more reliability in your monthly life. Extra R260 can buy a bag of mealie meal or a month's supply of essential medicine. When inflation is at 6%, your pension's real value is eroding. And without that increase, each month you lose power over your own budget. If enough of you speak up, Parliament, the Finance Portfolio Committee has to notice. They do listen when community voices are loud and clear across newspapers, radio call-ins, and local rallies. Your stories matter. They turn abstract budgets into real lives, and that's how change begins. I also want to direct attention to the banking school challenges that seniors often face. Many pensions are now paid into bank accounts or into the new SASSA old age bank account that's been introduced. That can be a blessing, but also a challenge if you lack access to your PIN, if your card is lost, or if banks limit withdrawals. You have rights: free bank statements, minimal fees for withdrawals, and the right to dispute charges. If you're charged R20 just for withdrawing money you earned, that's not fair. The Reserve Bank has said senior citizens should pay no more than R5 at the max, though some banks push higher. You don't have to settle for that. Raise a complaint with the bank, with the Ombud, and if necessary, ask local radio or newspapers to publicize it. It's not just about getting that extra cash. It's about fairness. I've also heard about mobile money solutions like the SASSA Moya app, where funds can go into e-wallet, but uptake is still small, and many older adults prefer cash. Bottom line, I want you to feel confident whether you take money at a post office, a grocery store paypoint, or a bank ATM, because the money is yours, and any extra barriers you face are unfair. Now, let's talk about the legal context. According to the Social Assistance Act, the minister must review and adjust grant values at least once a year in line with inflation indicators. That means there must be a review, but that doesn't guarantee a full adjustment. I'll be watching the Act's wording. If it says not less than inflation, then you can demand that the full increase be honored. If it says at least, there's wiggle room. Tracking that wording is vital, and I'll help you find it. Then there's the ongoing economic backdrop. South Africa has growth challenges, but also rising state debt and tax pressures. That means Treasury might argue against large increases, claiming fiscal constraints. That's a political decision, and we have to push back. There's always a choice: allow cost-cutting on vulnerable people, or protect the poorest. I'll walk you through the Treasury's arguments and help you understand them, because if they say an R800 increase for SRD is unaffordable, I want you to know exactly why, and whether that's true or just politics. Let's not forget the role of community support. Pastors, local councillors, charities, they all play a part. During national budget season, some churches hold public forums to invite people to speak out. I encourage you, join one. Or ask your local ward councillor to invite you to speak. Turn your everyday reality into testimony that counts. And if you're disabled, I want you to feel fully supported. Disability isn't just medical, it's social and economic. I'll talk to experts about how SASSA assesses disability, how the means test works differently than for pensions, and how you can make sure you're reassessed fairly. Many people don't know that you have a right to appeal and, if necessary, to escalate to the High Court. I'll share real South African cases where grant denials were overturned, showing you that you don't have to accept being told no if the law says yes. By the end of this video, you'll have a roadmap, from understanding where proposal numbers are stuck in Parliament, to tracking budget cycle dates, to engaging with your local MP, to keeping your records updated in my SASSA, to disputing bank fees, to appealing unfavorable decisions. Every step is grounded in real South African statutes, processes, and deadlines. And yes, it may feel like a lot at once, but it's easier when broken into clear, bite-sized actions. I'll also give you a segment on budget myths, like if I earn R1000 from tenants, I'm disqualified, when actually rental income gets exempted up to a point, or if my son lives with me and works, the pension stops, when actually your pension qualifies as your own income and isn't counted. Clearing up these myths is vital so you don't lose grants for reasoning that just isn't legally valid. We will also look at what the opposition parties have proposed on grants. Recently, the EFF proposed that pensions should rise to R3,500, just like the video title promises, but is that realistic? They tabled a private member's bill asking for that amount. But reality check, political majority matters, and that proposal hasn't yet passed in Parliament. But its existence matters. It shows that conversations are happening, and you have to translate that into action. Check which MP supports it and lobby them. You'll hear me break it down. Yes, the EFF proposes R3,500, but the ruling party hasn't endorsed that number. Instead, they argue for R2,500, somewhere in between. Yet, as of now, that's still talk. If R2,500 becomes law, that's a massive win. If not, you need to push to defend even small increases from Treasury. Throughout, I'll keep the tone supportive, empowering, and ongoing. I'll say this isn't a one-off video, it's a journey. I'll try to post follow-ups when Parliament debates the budget, and again when the increases are confirmed in March/April. That way, you're not left alone. We build a community. Let me share a real-life example. A granny named Lindiwe from Pietermaritzburg applied for disability grant when she lost her eyesight. She was approved, but then suddenly lost the grant after 2 years because her last house sale and savings triggered an asset review. She didn't know what hit her, but she appealed, showing that the sale proceeds had been spent on medical bills. She got reinstated, and now she and I are working together to create a pamphlet that explains how to handle asset changes. It's powerful, because your rights matter, but knowing them is essential. So here's where we stand. The SRD grant is still R350. An increase is being discussed, but not yet confirmed. The old age and disability grants are still R2,180. They were adjusted last year, and the next adjustment is likely in April, but the size is unknown. Eligibility thresholds, asset rules, appeals, banking issues, all of these are live factors you need to manage. And you're not alone. You can act, you can prepare, you can influence. In upcoming segments, I'll speak with a SASSA official about how to use the SASSA app, a legal advisor from Black Sash, and a member of parliament involved in budget oversight. I want you to hear them directly. And I'll finish by talking to you again. You deserve security, you deserve dignity, and your voice counts. By the time we wrap, you won't just feel informed, you'll feel ready. Thank you for trusting with these truths. Let's stay in touch through comments. You can tell me your local experiences. What's your plantation at the office? Did SASSA call you? Did you get a letter? Are you hearing rumors of increases in your community? I read every word, and I'll try to answer your experience in upcoming videos. This isn't just about me. It's about all of us taking control of our own stories. Together, we can make sure those grants, not just words, mean the difference between a secure month and a worrying one. Let me close this part here. Thank you for staying with me so far. Now, in the next segment, I'll bring you that interview with the SASSA representative, breaking down how to manage your profile on their system and what to ask them in person. Stick around. We're getting real, we're getting practical, and most importantly, we're doing it together.